a good session, especially given that we did see Wall Street down by 1.2%. And it does look like there were a number of factors coming into play today, but the markets did receive a bit of a boost from the fact that it does believe that Janet Yellen will be made the chair of the Federal Reserve. So that seemed to help markets. Very light volumes going through, though less than $3 billion worth of stock being traded. I guess if we have a look at our market, we were watching the consumer confidence numbers. Now, we did see a drop there, but the numbers still remaining strong. So we did see a drop of 2.1%, but that follows on from a gain of 4.7% in the previous month, and we saw a read of 108.3, but really that didn't seem to impact the market too much. In fact, if we have a look at sectors, it was the industrial as well as the material sectors which outperformed, and then underperformance by the healthcare and the discretionary sectors. But it's all about the US at the moment. We're in day 8 of the shutdown. It's now the 6th longest shutdown that we've seen in US history. There's been 17 shutdowns in the US, and they've averaged about 6.5 days. And of course, we're also watching the debt ceiling, and the debt ceiling has been raised 74 times since March 1962. So hopefully it'll be raised another time.
Consequences later, but let's go back to the sectors. Julia, can you talk us through what's going on with iron ore stocks today? A bit of surprise?
We're still seeing great strength in the iron ore price. In fact, 131.70 US a tonne at the moment. And over the last few sessions, we have seen a number of export numbers, which does show that strength is continuing. If we have a look at the August export numbers, they came in at 52 million tonnes. Now, that was up 10% month on month, and year on year, that was up 21%, and that was at a record high. We know that Rio Tinto in the month of August, they shipped 22.9 million tonnes, and that suggests a run rate of 268 million tonnes. So things seem to be going pretty well in the area of iron ore exports. In fact, if we have a look at the Port Hedland numbers for September, that came in at 29 million tonnes. So that's up 6% month on month, and that represents a record as well. If we have a look at the key markets, so China still really does dominate this space. China, 38 million tonnes. If we have a look at Japan in comparison, it's just 8 million tonnes, and Korea is only 4 million tonnes. But the strength that we are seeing in the iron ore price as well as in volumes means that iron ore miners have been doing fairly well. In fact, we saw Fortescue up by 1.9%, and some of the more leveraged players that have been beaten down, like Atlas Iron, doing extremely well today, up by a massive 8.9% in one session.
Transurban today had some traffic numbers out. Investors seeming to like it. The stock up 2% today. What do you make of it?
I think the numbers were very good, and it does represent the investment that they've made into that M2 upgrade. In fact, that M2 upgrade has flowed through to not only better numbers for the M2, but also for the Westlink M7, as well as the Lane Cove Tunnel. So we did see first quarter toll revenue up by 14%. Now, this is the biggest growth rate that we've seen in the quarterly numbers since the end of 2010. So that was a huge positive for Transurban. Also, if we have a look at the future prospects for Transurban, we know that at the moment we are seeing negotiations around the F3 M2, and it is in the final stages with the New South Wales government, so we're watching that carefully. And there's also the optionality in terms of growth, not only in Sydney but also in Melbourne. In Sydney, the WestConnex, which will link to Transurban's existing infrastructure and roads, and in Melbourne, the east-west roads. So just watching the growth potential of Transurban, but for the time being, its existing infrastructure doing extremely well, and that has all to do with the investment that it's made in upgrading its infrastructure.
Certainly. Michael